Hi, and welcome back to Joel's DIY. So we're up to 500 subscribers now, and I wanted to take the opportunity to thank everyone for subscribing to my channel. This channel was started back in 2014, I believe, and the reason that was because I wanted to do a DIY channel. But as everyone would know, life happens. I started a family during those years. I have two wonderful boys. I know that many of us spend times, during our lunch breaks, during any opportunity we have, we can to watch videos on YouTube, and many of us, don't make any. And I would like to be able to express myself by making videos on YouTube and being able to share, things that I've learned over the years about guitars, about stereos, about anything that I find interesting and share with the YouTube community. Um, so, nonetheless, I hope that you enjoy my new video that I'm posting today. And thank you so much for all the wonderful feedback I received. Take care, and hope to see you in the next video.
Okay, so looks like we have an Squier Strat, and it's one of those. It's one of those made in Indonesia models right there. Kind of get the model number and sort. So I purchased this probably about 2 weeks ago. A little dusty there. Nothing is wrong with it. I mean, it plays perfectly well. And it just needed a very good cleaning. So I cleaned the frets, and I definitely cleaned the fretboard, conditioned it a little bit. Cleaned the pickguard because it was kind of dirty and dusty. I did upgrade the saddles to roller saddles, which I was able to put in there. When I bought it, the action was set really low, which I love. The neck feels really good, and it's not a very heavy guitar. It's actually pretty light. I don't know if that's stock. It's probably not stock, but it's got a humbucker on the bridge, and it's got your single coil in the middle and neck position. I don't think the electronics were swapped out or anything, so the electronics are the same. But I mean, it works really well. You got your 5-way switch right there. It didn't have a trem bar, which I bought a replacement trem bar for it, so I should be putting one back on once I got this whole thing reassembled. The reason I bought it is, other than it being a really good price, I think I paid like, I think I paid $40 for this. Aside from it being a really good price, I had a Strat earlier this year that I made to look like this. I don't know if you can see the picture on the screen. And I love that, but unfortunately I ended up swapping it for a Telly, also a black Telly with maple fretboard, and I kind of regret doing it because I really like that Strat. Especially the color of the mirror pickguard and everything made that thing really cool looking. So I regretted trading it in, but now that I was able to find another black Strat, I decided that I'm just gonna remake that with a few upgrades. Of course, we're gonna upgrade the tuners, and we're gonna I already upgraded the saddles. We're going to put that mirror pickguard there, and we're also going to replace this humbucker because I want to kind of keep it as close to a Strat as possible. And I also already have a Strat with a humbucker in the bridge, so that's going to get taken off, and we're going to change that pickup. We're going to keep these two because these two work just fine. And I think that'll be all the upgrades. And obviously the string trees are also going to get replaced because I do not like these string trees. All right, let's have a look at what I got as far as upgrades. All right, so I'll go ahead and start with the tuners. These are locking tuners. I I think they're very similar to ones that I've bought before. I think they're just a little bit different. But you know, the neck will get a little bit heavier. I don't know if there'll be a lot of neck dive. I doubt it. But I just doing this straight out of convenience because I really hate putting on strings and not having these on there. This just makes the job a whole lot easier. So I'm going to upgrade the tuners to this. And then, like I mentioned before, I'm going to get real Fender string trees, the roller string trees right here. I like these because they look very compact. I just like the look of them. We're putting a new pickup in the bridge, and this is basically like a $12 to $15 pickup. This is from a company called Musically. They're an Amazon company, I think. I don't know, but they have this bridge humbucker here, and I really like the look of it because it's still single coil, but it's in humbucking mode. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this in the bridge. So I'll put that right back. And then I definitely got a replacement trem bar. So I bought like a lot that had like about 4 different trem bars. I already used one of them, but here you have the white one, and I really like these because unlike the ones that come with the Squier, these are just a tad longer, which I like. I like longer trem bars, so I'm gonna use this to replace the one that's missing. I'm gonna restring it with Ernie Ball regular slinkies, and of course I got the mirror Pickguard, which I got last time from the same company, and this one looks really nice. Obviously it looks like it's got scratches, but it's only because of the plastic. This plastic should come right off, and then you should be able to not see any scratches on there. But I like these because this comes with the Pickguard and also comes with a back plate, and I like this style of back plate better because it's easier to put the strings in. So that's gonna get replaced, and that's basically all the parts. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and start with the headstock and drilling holes for those new tuners. The tuners on a Squier are a little bit different, and they'll probably require me drilling some holes to put these in. So let's go ahead and get to it. Okay, so now that we have the tuners in, I'm gonna mildly tighten them just a little bit. I don't want to do it too much because I'm still gonna adjust a little bit. So I'm gonna tighten them up just a little bit, just so that they don't move as much. Okay, that looks to me pretty balanced out right there. I don't know if the camera's catching that. Let me see on the other side here. See if I can just put that right there. That looks also pretty balanced out, so I think we're ready to start drilling some holes. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start drilling some holes there and adjust if I still need to. But I think from side to side, I think they're looking good. So let's start drilling some holes. Just some things that I like to mention before I start drilling. See if I can get one of these screws here. All right, so I got the drill bit that I need. I know it's the correct size. One thing that you cannot be underestimated is using these tape to make sure that you got the hole at the right depth so that you don't go too deep. This makes everything so much easier. So always do that. But I got my drill bit here, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just drill straight into the hole where the tuner needs to be fastened, and I'll repeat the process for all these until I got everything installed to my satisfaction. So let's go ahead and get to it. All right, so here's a good look at the tuners, and as you can see, they fit just right. Everything looks straight. No complaints here. I actually think that this is probably one of the easiest upgrades to do on a Strat like this, because it doesn't take, you know, too much precision. It does not take too much precision to make this kind of upgrade. All you got to do is stick the new tuners in, and probably the hardest part is going to be drilling these holes. But everything looks flush to me. So we're ready to move on to the string trees. Usually I like to do this once the strings are already on, just so that I can kind of guide the string trees where they need to go. But these Fender string trees, they're a little bit more difficult to install, just because they have that extra point that needs to be, we need to drill a hole for, which I'll show right now, and but we'll work that out right now. Okay, so to kind of illustrate my point, I don't know if the camera's catching that, but the string tree, in addition to having that little screw hole so that you can screw it onto the headstock, there's this little tiny, I don't know what I would call it, like little tooth or little insert that you need to drill a hole for to put into the headstock. So which makes this a lot trickier. I do like this because what it prevents from happening is for the string tree to be moving around. But sometimes I you know, some people do like that adjustment. I really don't care either way. So what I'm going to try to do is make sure that the hole is nice and straight, and also make sure that the string tree is straight so that it catches the string at the right direction with a 90-degree angle, basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stick the string tree into the hole that's already there. Okay, which would be right there. And then I'm going to take my triangle and just make sure that it is straight with the nut. So to me, I think it'll catch just right about there. So what I have to do is I have to make sure that the hole that I drill is on that very spot right there, which I'm going to mark with a pencil. Probably should sharpen my pencil first. Okay. So since that looks pretty straight, I don't know how well the camera's catching that, but that to me is probably as straight as it's going to be. Let me try the other slot. That also looks pretty straight. So I'm just going to put a little dot right there. Okay. And just make sure that those string slots are as straight as possible. Which they do look like they're pretty straight. Yeah. All right, so the next step is to drill the hole. And actually, I think my tape will work just fine on that. So all right, so that's basically all the screws. We'll just go ahead and gently lift this up. Now, I typically like to put a rag when I take apart pick guards, just so that I don't scratch up the finish. I'll remove this, and then I'll have to desolder this, and then we can start taking it from there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start taking off the pickups. And one thing to keep in mind is when I bought this Strat, I really liked the sound that I was hearing when I played it. So I want to keep as much as I can the same as far as the height of the pickups. So I have this digital caliper, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to measure how high each pickup is, and I'm going to go ahead and write it down just so that I know that when I install it on a new pick guard, I keep it basically the same height. So I'll go ahead and do that now. All right, so this is what the pickguard looks like once you've taken everything off. You can see a little bit of color fading there. Maybe it's been a little bit of time in the sun. So the next step is to go ahead and desolder this pickup out. So let's go ahead and get to that. So one of the things you got to see is where exactly the hot is wired. So you got your ground wired there, and then the first bridge position is there. Okay, so that kind of makes sense. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to desolder the ground that's right there, and also remove this from the bridge position and install our new pickup. So Okay, so this kind of helped me figure this out. So this looks like we're gonna put just the red into the switch, the black into the ground, and this just left alone. So I'll go ahead and put some heat sink or heat shield on this, and then we'll go ahead and solder the rest. All right, so before we proceed any further, I'm gonna go ahead and use this little Ibanez amplifier to test the bridge pickup to make sure that that's working correctly. I'm just gonna go ahead and plug this in. Go ahead and just turn this on. That's the neck. Neck and middle. Middle and humbucker. Humbucker. Middle, and that's just the middle. All right, so before I do anything, I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting out these the shielding from the control holes, because I'm gonna need to do that so that I can put my pots in there. So I got an X-Acto knife that I'm going to use, and I'll just go ahead and cut those holes. I'll probably do it from behind so that way I don't scratch the pickguard, but I'm just going to very cleanly as possible try to cut through this shielding. Alright, that's one hole. And I'll just go ahead and do the rest. Alright, so now that I was able to get those holes cleaned out, I'm going to go ahead and take off the protective wrap, just because I'm going to start installing the pickups and I don't want that plastic to get in the way of everything else. So I'm going to just go ahead and do that, and any thumbprints that I leave, I'll just go ahead and clean those up with a rag. So the pickguard looks really nice. Oops, looks like I forgot that the holes for the blade switch. I can do those really quick. Shouldn't be a big problem there. Okay, that comes right off. And I'll just do the hole for the screw holes. Alright, that looks perfect. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start installing my pickups into the pickguard, and then we'll go back and take a look at how that comes out. Okay, so probably one of the things that I learned, I guess you can see my reflection right there a little bit. So one thing that I learned is that this bridge pickup here is a little bit of a pain in the butt to get in. It's going to be a tight fit, but it did manage to get in there. The other pickups were absolutely no problem. They were easy to put on. I'm going to go ahead and now put the pots and the switch, and then we should be a little bit closer to reassembling this thing. Alright, so I'm just about done putting this together. One One thing that I wanted to say about this mirror pickguard is that you got to be very careful when tightening any screw or any bolt. These sometimes can crack. I mean, it's happened to me before, so you don't want to over tighten anything here. So you just want to just make sure that it's not going to be moving around too much, but you don't want to definitely get to the point where you're going to crack the mirror, because that would not be a good look. All right, so the last thing is going to be to go ahead and wrap all these cables up again, make it nice and neat like it was. That way I don't have so much clutter when I put everything back into the cavities. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a zip tie, and I'm gonna try to make this as neat as I can, and then I'm gonna close it up. All right, so I just got a couple of zip ties, and I just made sure that they're placed in a spot where it won't get in the way of anything, and that looks a lot neater now. So I'm gonna go ahead and just reassemble this and have a good look at what it looks like. That actually does not look bad at all. Is exactly the way I had my other Strat that I traded off look. And also the good news is it looks like all the holes are lining up quite right. So I'm gonna go ahead and start drilling some holes, and sorry, not drill, maybe drilling a hole here and here. It looks like that's where it doesn't match up, but otherwise on the rest of the pickguard it looks just right. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and start assembling this again. Okay, so far so good. We're gonna go ahead and start working on putting the back plate on for the strings. So that should be a pretty easy, straightforward thing. Go ahead and start removing some screws. Okay, so we're basically done. I just put the rear plate here. So this is great. I love it. I love the way it looks. I don't know if I'm biased or not, but I think black on the mirror pickguard is probably the best look that a mirror pickguard has. I think any other color or any variant kind of looks, I don't know, but I really like this combination, and I'm so happy that I was able to rebuild this Strat the way that I had it the first time. Now all we're gonna do now is restring it and test it out. Here's the humbucker in the bridge, first position. Okay, here's the second position, so that would be the middle pickup and the humbucker in the bridge. So that's more of a typical Strat sound. Then you got the middle pickup. Okay, and then you got your fourth position, which would be the neck and the middle. And then you would have just the neck. So I'm very content with the result of the new configuration here. Love Strats. I think probably, if I had to choose one guitar that I could only play once forever, it would probably be the Strat, just because it's just a very comfortable guitar. It just feels natural to play on a Strat. That humbucker right there. So I'm very content with the upgrades that I did on this one. One thing I would say is this is probably a nice little upgrade configuration if you wanted to upgrade your Squier Strat. It certainly wasn't very difficult. It just took a little bit of time to figure things out, but I would definitely recommend it to anyone who would like to try this. So thank you very much for joining me today, and I hope this video was helpful, and hope to catch you in the next one. Thank you. Take care.